Good morning and welcome along to another week on my allotment. And nothing much has changed, you won't be surprised to hear. I see most people who run an allotment channel are just starting to begin again with the new year and their vlogs. And of course I've done one already, and I'm going to film a little bit today. But and the good news, let's start with some good news. The good news is it's not raining, and as you can see it's a clear blue sky, and I've got up here nice and early and I've just sat in my chair outside, and I'm just, look, the sun, it's taken till 5, maybe 10 past 8 for the sun to actually come over the horizon, and it's just one of those beautiful moments when you just sit, do nothing else, don't think about anything, and just watch the sun move. And if you sit there long enough, you can, although you don't look at it directly, obviously you see the sun physically moving in the sky. And it'll be interesting to watch the sun move along the horizon through the coming spring and summer, because obviously it comes up over the horizon at a different spot almost every day. So I've got all day up here, and what am I planning to do? Well, the first thing to report is, I know I've said a few times in the past that I'm going no dig, and to a large extent I am. However, I've been thinking long and hard about these waterlogged beds, and I've thought about, going and purchasing good strong wood. I've looked online at second-hand scaffold planks, and it all costs quite a bit of money, and I've spent £82 on seeds. I just bought some new tubs for my potatoes, 6 of them. That was 24 quid. This all starts to add up, and I'm keeping that account with what I've grown and what I spend, and I'm trying to keep the cost down. So I've discounted putting the conventional raised beds in, because that involves a lot of timber. I haven't got it, I'd have to buy it, so I'm not going to do it. But what I can do, and at the moment we don't have any manure. The farmer's been asked, but he's quite slow off the mark, and we'll have to ask several times again before we get any movement, but eventually we'll get some manure. And I've got my own stuff, although it's limited. What I'm going to do, and I'll show you in a minute, I made a start already, is I'm going to dig out the main beds that are waterlogged, and they've been waterlogged since October the 4th, and it's now January the 18th, I think. So, and there's no sign of it, the water's not going anywhere, it's sitting here, although hopefully this week will be fairly dry. So I've got to do something about that, because the crops I leave in over winter I just lose. I lost all my parsnips, I lost all the celeriac, I lost quite a few leeks, although most of those are now frozen and in the freezer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly, over the next few weeks, I'm going to dig out a trench by trench in each bed, and obviously some beds are bigger than others. I'm going to backfill with my own decomposing compost, and it's not decomposed yet, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to backfill, and then I'll put the soil back on the top, and that hopefully will raise the level 2, 3, 4 inches. Now I know over time that will drop back down, but if I do that enough times, over the next couple of years, maybe if I do it now in the winter, and I do it again in the autumn once I dig out the crops, and then I do it again in the spring next year, slowly but surely the level of these beds will rise, because at the moment with this main chipping bed path I've put in, this path is sitting 2 or 3 inches above the soil in the beds either side. Well, that's no good. So yeah, that's my plan, and I'm going to start it today. I'm also hoping to have a bit of a bonfire. I went on our Facebook page and said, come on folks, let's get this year started and get rid of all our rubbish. And I got, Terry and Joe thankfully replied, and they can't make it, but everybody else ignored me. I think it says more about me than the bonfire situation. So it looks like I'm on my own with it today, which is not good, because it's everybody's rubbish and I'm going to be the only one dealing with it. So, that's life, isn't it? If you want to get something done, you ask a busy man. But, so yeah, hopefully I'll have a fairly full day. And it's just nice to be up here, as I've said many times before, pottering. with no sort of end mission in sight, nothing to nothing to get ticked off, just to be up here and pass the time. So yeah, welcome along. Now this is the bed that had the leaks in, and hopefully you can see that I've dug sort of a trench. There's nothing too neat and tidy, it won't win any awards, and you can see the standing water. Actually what's happening is it's seeping through from that path and dropping in there. So that's where the water table is, because that water's not moving and not going anywhere. So, and there's the rather wet, soggy, claggy soil that I've dug out with all the grass in it and weeds. And there's a little pile there, very modest pile of rotted compost of my own stuff. That's the start of what I'm going to put in here. So you can see it's going to be a slow process, and I'm not good on patience, but I shall have to do my best just to be patient and do it a bit at a time. And then, like I say, hopefully it'll raise it high enough that the water will start to drain out. Well, of course it won't drain anywhere, but it's the soil will be well above the water table. So that's my plan. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend most of the day doing it, I think. Well, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do, but I've got some wood ash from the fire at home, and I'm just going to scatter it on the compost that's mulching these fruit bushes. So I'm led to believe that potash is good for fruit. In fact, it's good for all vegetables. So I'm just going to scatter this across the top and hope that the water, the rain, takes it down and leaches the goodness into the soil. Right, well, it's mid-morning now, the sun's well up. John's just arrived on the plot, which is good to see, so there'll be someone to help me with the bonfire, which he's agreed to do. I tried the trench and fill method, and I actually nearly lost my boot. I couldn't move my feet. The ground is so waterlogged, I can't stand on it. So, nice idea. In principle, I think it can work, but I'm going to have to wait. Just be patient. And once the ground has dried a bit, maybe in a month or two's time, I won't be putting anything in the bed, so I'm not losing any time on that. And I'll try again, and we'll see. And I shall have to give it a bit more thought. And if and when the farmer brings some more cow muck, I'm going to have to look seriously at raising the beds using that. So dig the soil away, put the cow muck in, put the soil back on top of it, and bring the beds up, you know, maybe 3-4 inches. And I think this time next year, if we have the same again, and I think, you know, with global climate change, warmer, wetter winters, which is what we're having this year, more than I've ever had in my 56 years. I think that's the future, and I've got to have the allotment proofed against that. So that's the plan, but I'll have to delay it. I've just trimmed around the edges because the grass is growing. It's so warm, the grass is growing. In fact, the golf driving range has now shut because he can't get on the ground to mow it. The grass is now so long and the ground so soft that when the golfers hit the balls down the range or up the range, they plug, they go straight into the soil and they almost disappear, and he can't pick them up with either manual or the machine. So the golf driving range is shut for the foreseeable future, which is bad news for him. So yeah, maybe this week, you know, with it drying out and mainly dry, but even when the forecast is dry, we still get rain. But hopefully this week being a bit drier, he'll be able to open up, and I'll be able to mow the grass and get on the beds, but we shall see. Right, I'm going to start moving some stuff ready for a fire. We all love a fire. Well, let's have a quick wander up the plot. So I've got these 2 tubs to fill, so I need some soil for that. This cardboard and mulch has worked superbly, so the blackberries are now contained and pruned, and all those canes will produce this year. I never did get any mulch for this cardboard, but the cardboard, although it's rotten now, has contained most of the weeds. These 2 rhubarb plants, amazingly, despite being sat under the water, are producing wonderful new shoots. The 3 rhubarb plants over there are doing the same, and I've got a rhubarb forcer sat over one of the crowns. You may be able to hear the squelching. The whole site is still terrible. In fact, where we look here, this has been sat underwater now, this bed, since October. Not only is the standing water has come up through the mulch, the chippings, I've had to put some planks down because if I step on the chippings there, my foot sinks into that. It's just, well, it's barely believable. But anyway, everything else seems fine. The garlic and the onions that I planted back in the autumn seem to have survived the soggy ground. Raspberries all cut back and wood ash applied. That's the bed that I tried to dig this morning, and it's just unworkable. So it's best to be patient and come back to it in a few weeks' time when the ground dries up. But the rest of the plot up here, fairly neat and tidy. Just as an aside, I've planted, or I've sown my first seeds of the year back home on a windowsill in the spare bedroom. I've done some cauliflower, one of the brassicas that, or one of the varieties that's resistant to clubroot. And they've all, well, 4 out of the 6 have germinated, and everything up here is fairly dormant, but it's all looking very neat. Daffs are looking good, as is the whole plot really, if I just ignore the water at the bottom end.
Terry will be disappointed with us.
Yeah.
He's no longer the arsonist.
Yeah. That's a play on words. Actually, the wind direction is favourable as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Lyndon became complaining there'd be no customers in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Before we smoked out the car park.
Oh dear, how unfortunate. I mean, once we get it up to a good temperature.
shouldn't be.
Good afternoon. Job done. Well, another little job ticked off my list. It may seem like a bit of niff-naff and trivia, but you know, if every time you come up the allotment, you do one thing that just slightly improves the way you store things, the way you look after them, because all this has been sort of left on the table. I try to keep them off the ground because they rot. So they've been stored on the picnic table. They've been leaning against the shed. Well, the shed is already leaning too far anyway. I don't want to put any more pressure on it. So that's got them off the ground. I've gone through them. The ones that are rotten I've taken out and I've started sawing them up for firewood, and I'm replacing a few each year. So slowly I have a trickle basis and they stay strong and they won't snap when they've got crops on them. So it may seem like a trivial job, but everything improves the allotment every time you do something. And of course, you know, sometimes you don't like the way you've done it and you redo it, but that's fine. It keeps me busy, keeps me occupied while I can't get on the beds at the moment because of the water. So yeah, very pleased. The sun came up this morning and now it's going down over the hill. A very good day. Well, I'm at the end of another day. I know it's not terribly exciting at the moment, but that's allotments. You know, it's out of season. It is what it is, but I still love being up here. So if you've watched it to the end, thank you and well done. Please subscribe if you haven't, and it'll be a fortnight again before, and we've been nearly into February, I think. So today I tried to dig that bed to raise the level and I failed because the ground was just too wet underneath me, so I should leave that. John, Bridgette and I had the bonfire which got rid of all the rubbish, the burnable rubbish on site, which was a big step forward for the season ahead, so really pleased with that. And out of that came some good quality wood that I can put through the stove. I've consolidated all the different piles of leaves I had into the 1 or 2 leaf mould bins, which is already showing signs of, you know, breaking down, which is good. Found a dead rat in one of them, which was a bit odd, but anyway, I've made that rack for my beam poles out the back. Chopped a lot more firewood. Had a bit of a general tidy up. Oh, Paul's just turned up. Yeah, can't think what else I've done, but whatever it is, I took 8 hours doing it. So yeah, I feel I've had a beneficial day, and the week ahead looks dry, so hopefully I'll be able to, oh, I trimmed around all the edges because the grass is getting long, so I've trimmed all that. Made a bit of a mess doing it, but it's done. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. See you again soon. Look after yourself. Bye for now.